My name is Brent Dickman. I'm the co-founder of Elf Creek Games, and we have brought back to print Atlantis Rising. The Atlanteans have angered their gods. The gods are going to destroy Atlantis. There's nothing that we can do about it. This is a cooperative worker placement game. So we are going to be Atlantean counselors. We're going to be working together to gather resources to try to build these components of this cosmic gate to get our people to safety. The way we're going to do that is we're going to gather resources worker placement style. So if I were to put a worker right here in the hills, in order to gather gold, I would need to roll a die, and I would need to get that number or higher. So here I would need to get a 3, 4, 5, or 6, and I would take a gold and put it back in my player area. But there's a twist. And the twist is, between placing your workers and activating your workers, you have to draw misfortune cards. Most of these cards are going to flood sections of Atlantis. So let's say I had placed a worker here, and other players would be placing their workers, then everybody would draw a misfortune card. Well, I drew a hills card, which means that this tile is going to flood. So you're going to turn it over. I don't lose my worker, but I do lose my action. The worker spends the turn swimming back to shore, goes back to my player board. So because of that, you can see that the dice numbers are lower towards the shoreline, which makes it more rewarding. You have a better chance of succeeding, but you also have a better chance of being flooded out. The deck also has special misfortunes in it. There's cards like Imperial Breach. Imperial Breach says that all of the mystic barriers that are out are destroyed, and you have to take them all off, and that can be a horrible card to draw. This is the only card in the deck that is happy, and it's just because it says nothing happens. So as we build our components, we are going to place workers over here to turn in resources. In this case, we would turn in 2 crystal. I would build the solar matrix. I'd flip it over to the built side. I'd put it over here in the cosmic gate board, which is a nice dual-layered board. You start to get the feeling that you're building the gate. As I build these, I unlock new worker placement spots. So as we play the game, lots of sections of the island are going to flood, and we're going to start running out of places to go. But we're going to have new places to go because we're building these components. The very last thing we need to do in order to win the game is build the power core. Everybody has to take their leader, come over here to build the power core, which is going to power the gate and get everybody through to safety. If the island sinks before you build the gate, you lose the game. This game supports between 1 and 7 players, so we have 7 different Atlantean leaders to choose from in each of the player colors. I've had so many games where it comes down to, if we can get through this last misfortune round, we just need 1 more crystal. So everybody, all of this is flooded, and we've kept the forests alive for this one last moment, right? And then somebody rolls a 6, and everybody shouts, screaming, and then we're able to build the power core, and we get through the gate, and we win. Sometimes, of course, you lose. This is Honey Buzz, the worker bee placement game. It is springtime in the wood, and the queen has had a new idea. She has discovered capitalism. It might be mercantilism. They're not really sure. But what they do think is that if they start selling their honey to the bears and the badgers and the other woodland creatures, that they will finally have peace and prosperity. As I said, it's a worker bee placement game. So what you're going to do on your turn is you're going to take one of your beeples. You're going to place it out here on the hive board. And when you place a worker, you grab a tile. And what you're trying to do is you're trying to complete one of these little hexagon rings. And every time you close off a hexagon ring, you trigger all the actions in that ring. Some of these actions, this one here is a new bee. So you would take one of your beeples and you'd put it over here in the bee nursery, where there are bees getting bedtime stories. The real important actions, though, are foraging for nectar, producing honey, and then taking a market action to sell at the bear market. How do you get nectar? You need nectar to make honey. When you take a forage action, you're going to come out here to the wood, and you're going to go looking for honey. So if you have all red in the circle, that is a wildflower nectar. If you were to have this large V shape with 4 red walls and 2 white walls, that is a rosemary shape. This pattern, that's a cherry blossom shape. Last of all, and the hardest to make, is the acacia. It's just 1 tile with a red wall. So let's imagine that I just got this tile. I place it right here. This means that I've triggered these actions and I get to take these actions. This is the forage action. So it would come out here, and I would need to make a decision about which field of flowers I'm going to try to find my nectar in. So I could use acacia honey or wildflower honey. So I will come out here and I will look at one of these tiles, If it matches one of my patterns, I get to place it in my hive. This is a cherry blossom. I don't have a cherry blossom opening right now. So I would place this face down and not take it. Everyone else, if they're paying attention, now knows that this is not an acacia honey or a wildflower honey. So when I miss like that, my bee comes home, doesn't come home empty-handed. Instead, my bee comes home, she brings back some pollen. Honey is made by evaporation. In nature, it's from the beating of the wings. But here, our bees are smart enough to use little fans to help them out as well. I can produce, on any cell, all of the adjacent nectar. So I would make a wildflower honey and an acacia honey. Of course, these pieces have to be squishy. These are prototype pieces, but the final pieces will be squishy honey because it doesn't feel right for honey to be really hard. So you'll have squishy honey to play with. Maybe on a future turn, I'd take a market action. Then I could go over here to the bear market where I can sell my honey. This is a bear market because the prices only ever go down. And the game, in fact, ends when either 4 of these 5 market stalls bottom out in their prices, or when I have sold orders to 2 of these 3 stacks of creatures. This is a continuous round game. When you are out of bees to place, you just recall your bees. That's when your new bees come home. You also get to peek out here at the nectar fields. Since this does have a very light memory element, you can just look at a tile for free and have a little bit of information. Check out what the buzz is about.